Shalom Aleichem, blessed souls, it's Dhamma talk from Irie Heights, Crown Heights. It's now Chof Kislev, the 20th Kislev, 5,707 years shining into creation. This week, the community of Israel, in preparation and celebration, and within the context of soulful, righteous revelation, shall be preparing and caring and sharing about Chag Chanukah. Chanukah, which is an expression of Chinukat HaMizbeach, the rededication of the altar that took place in that great miracle where one day's supply of olive oil, Shemen Zayah Zach, was lit for 8 miraculous days, 7 days more than it should have, while the Israelites were preparing more oil for the continuing service of the temple. We'll be reading from the Torah portion this week, blessed souls, on Mondays and Thursdays, and a complete portion of Parshas Vayeshev in Book of Genesis, Sababa Rejoice, Perek Lamed Zayin, chapter 37, Pasuk Aleph, verse 1, and concluding in Perek Mem, chapter 40, Pasuk Chof Gimel, verse 23. And from the Haftorah we'll be reading, blessed souls, we'll be reading from Novi Zachariah, or Zachariah, which will be starting from Perek Beis, chapter 2, verse 14, Pasuk Yudalad, and concluded on Perek Gimel, Pasuk Aleph, chapter 3, verse 1, until Perek Gimel, chapter 3, Pasuk Tezayin, verse 16. Last week I read in 2 different segments a letter written by the Alter Rebbe, the first Rebbe of Chad, Rebbe Shneur Zalman of Liadi. Upon his release, he'd been libeled erroneously as being a traitor to the Russian government for the fact that he was helping his fellow Yehudim, fellow Jews, live in the land of Israel at the time that Israel was under the rulership of the Turkish Ottoman Empire, and the Turkish Ottoman Empire was at odds with the Russian Tsarist regime. So those jealous souls of the revelation of Torah Chasidut Chabad, the inner dimensions of Torah, which is being elucidated by Rebbe Shneur Zalman, who was a direct descendant of David HaMelech and Shlomo HaMelech, King David and King Solomon, and was succeeded by 6 subsequent Rebbes of Chabad, all direct descendants of David HaMelech and Shlomo HaMelech. He was released actually on this day in the Hebrew calendar. So last week I read from the letter in 2 different segments, which I posted here to YouTube. I think one segment got to YouTube and 2 versions got put onto Facebook, and I think I put something on Twitter. So let's read a little bit more about this teaching from the Lubavitch Rebbe, who was expounding on that teaching, the letter of the Alter Rebbe, in a Hasidic discourse that the Rebbe delivered Yud Tes Kislev, the 19th of Kislev, in Tafshin Chof Gimel, 5723, which would approximate to be 1962. So it would be 46 years ago. So on that verse from chapter 32, verse 11, Perek Lamed Beis, Pasuk Yud Aleph, Kutonti Mikola Chasadim Mikola Emes, that Yaakov Avinu, Jacob the patriarch, as he was preparing to meet his brother Esav, called out to the Most High, I have been made from all the kindness and all the truth that have been bestowed upon me. And the Rebbe explained that where Yaakov evaluated himself to be katan, or made small, it was not that he was made, as the Rebbe says here, Nasa etzlo inin kutonti beyeser says v'yasa oz, meaning the smallness which Yaakov Avinu, Jacob the patriarch, estimated himself as he was going to approach Esav with presents, to so to speak appease his brother, who 20 plus years earlier wanted to kill him. He also was preparing for war. His brother wouldn't be appeased by the gifts. And last but not least, perhaps foremost, Yaakov entreated the Most High with prayer that there should be a peaceful meeting between him and his twin brother Esau. So this idea of becoming small, actually, that Yaakov was now manifesting through his conversation with the Most High, as recorded in the Torah, was an expression of with greater dignity and with greater strength. Because when a person humbles themselves, although it might seem to be a contraction of their potentialities and their expressions and manifestations of all their action, speech, work, intellect, it's actually allowing us to, so to speak, do a positive vacating of any sense of arrogance, which is a primal trait which is found in anyone who is truly of the nation of Israel in spirit and blood, that we don't get involved in self-aggrandizing ourselves, but rather we make ourselves small in relation to who? The Almighty. And if we can truly internalize that sense of smallness in the positive sense, then others want to work with us and cooperate with us and partner with us to make it a pleasant and peaceful world. I'm talking about other Yehudim, other Jews, and as well the blessed Bnei Noach, the children of Noah. Yaakov also had been concerned, the Rebbe said, that he perhaps had some of his merits diminished by all the kindnesses that were bestowed upon him as he worked for his father-in-law, Laban, I think you say in English. That being said, according to the Rebbe, says here, if he shara inin shel his karvus milamayla ad lamayla is a inin hachasadim, that Yaakov Avinu was acutely perceptive of the idea, that he saw the idea of coming closer to the Most High through the kindnesses bestowed upon him was an act of kindness, okay, which was a manifestation is a bechinat yamin shebekedusha v'chesed la'avim shomar anochi afa ve'efer, that this is a quality of so to speak, the right side of holiness, and the kindnesses that were done to Abraham, his grandfather Abraham, who of himself said in chapter 6, Parshas Vayera, which is the 18th chapter, book of Bereshit, the book of Genesis, Sefer Bereshit, chapter 18, verse 27, Perek Chai, chapter of life, Perek Posek Chav Zayin, Zach, the verse of purification, where Abraham, with all the good bestowed upon him, acknowledged that he is nothing more than dust and ashes, or ashes and dust. So we'll leave it at that, bless the souls, and hopefully we'll continue with more teachings later in this week, that we should see ourselves as dust and ashes, not in the sense of low self-esteem, but total self-effacement before the Most High, in order to be proper vessels to beam out the aura of the Ane Sofe, the light of the infinite Creator, which is the awareness of the Creator, to every blessed human being who is on this earth right now as I speak. Chaf Kislev, the 20th Kislev, 5,070 years into the creation. Or if you're more familiar with the English calendar date, December 7th, 2009. May all of our days be sweeter than the finest wine. Sababa Rejoice, Ahaba Chad, one of Goril Echad, one destiny, Babori Echad, the one Creator, B'dar Chinom, B'dar Shalom, in a pleasant and peaceful way, B'ofen Nitzcheh.